So here's what I'm saying, Sammy, is that I think it's pretty clear that Seth Rollins took our advice. He took as much time as he needed in announcing that draft pick, because we saw when Jey Uso was up there delivering a pick for the 49ers, he was quick, about 45 seconds. Kind of even acknowledged that there was some lady telling him to hurry up. And we told Seth that was going to happen. But Seth seemingly took all the time. He took a couple minutes. Go back and watch that. Watch the videos. Jey Uso's like 45 seconds. Seth Rollins, 2 minutes, 15 seconds. And there's also a bit where Seth Rollins was doing a bit with Kimmy Chex. I don't want to take credit for that one, but you know that I am, because that's what I do. I take credit for that. I did love it overall. I like that Seth Rollins is out there just drawing heat on his own. We didn't need to bring out a linebacker whose best days are behind him, whose peroxide has started to seep through his skull and hurt his brain. Reading a letter from whomever. Like, what was that? Like, how sad for you. How sad for you. You didn't even want to sit there and acknowledge that you were the last team to win a Super Bowl for the Packers. You'd rather take a shot at the Bears, which is fine. Do it. Act like you don't think about us, because you certainly do. And Seth Rollins went out there and delivered, hit all the high points. Although the promo was very similar to the promo that Greg Braggs and I had at Lambeau, at the little Lambeau display at the Super Bowl. Well, whatever. We're not going to worry about that. What we are going to worry about, Sammy, is starting the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Adam Rank.
It's Hester trying to work it back to the middle. Gets past the first wave, and here he goes. It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. And no flag, 92 yards.
The sickest Chicago Bears and fantasy football podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome to the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank, the post-draft edition. We're going to take a deeper dive into some of the draft picks for the Chicago Bears. Talk about what we liked, what we didn't like. A lot to love in this draft, and we'll start with Colston Lovelin. I know a lot of people were surprised, but you know what? People who watch this show or who've watched me on the Marquee Network, on CHGO, on any of that stuff, I've been talking about Colston Lovelin for about the last 6 weeks, last 2 months. Colston Lovelin was a player that I absolutely loved. When I started putting together my mock draft with a twist, you know, and a lot of what I do is go off of the, I use DJ's, Daniel Jeremiah's guide as kind of a, you know, his rankings, I should say, is kind of a guide. Looking at things, because I don't want to be like, I like Colston Lovelin, and then you look and you're like, well, DJ has him ranked 39th in his top 50, top 150, whatever. But Colston Lovelin was a top 10 guy. And if you went on to NFL.com last week, it actually was about a week ago right now, my bold prediction was that 2 tight ends were going to go in the top 10 of the NFL draft, which I think counts. I think it counts because Colston Lovelin going 10 should have been the second guy going. I thought that Tyler Warren should have gone to the Jags, although I love what the Jags did. I'm not upset that the Jags moved up for Travis Hunter. I feel like I deserve credit for that too. Like when you're looking back and people are like, oh, your mock draft, which again, it's not a prediction piece. This is what you should do. My thing with them was, like, I thought that the Giants should have taken Ashton Genty. And that didn't work out. They didn't take him. Spoiler alert, they took Abdul Carter. Okay, that one is wrong. But I said the Browns need to take a defensive player. They got Mason Graham. So I'm like, okay, that counts. Nailed that. I said that the Jags need to take offense. And I thought their top choice at that point was going to be Tyler Warren. But obviously they went out there and they drafted Travis Hunter, Jesus. So that's that. But in any event, Colston Lovelin was a player that I loved and thought he was going to be a great addition. And I thought too, if Tyler Warren was gone in the top 10, that Colston Lovelin would have been a good option. And I wrote on NFL.com last week, I said 2 tight ends will go in the top 10. Tyler Warren, I expected to be one of them. Colston Lovelin, I said, don't rule him out for the Jets, because I was thinking Warren was going 5. I said, don't rule out the Jets. Don't rule out the Panthers, who ended up with Tet McMillan. I thought it should have been Matthew Golden. We'll see how that works out. But I go at number 10, like, don't rule out the Bears taking Colston Lovelin. Rangy, traitsy. We talked about this last week, after the night of the draft. And if you want to go back and listen to that, because my feelings haven't changed. I was all aboard on Colston Lovelin. So I love to see what is happening there with Colston Lovelin. I thought that was a great pick. Really loved it. And I think he's going to come in here and make an immediate impact. And we saw the Chicago Bears did say, after the draft, they go, we love Tyler Warren. We love Colston Lovelin. They were 1A, 1B. And the Bears tried to trade down. And again, everybody's like, why didn't they trade up for Genty? Why didn't they trade down? There's not a button you pick. It's not like, you know what, guys, we're going to wait. We're going to wait. Like, you have to have a willing trade partner. And the fact that nobody wanted to jump up, and I think the Bears wanted to be, I think they were happy to go behind the Colts, whatever. Even getting a 4th round pick from the Cowboys to move down to 12th, whatever it would have been. Nobody wanted to do that because nobody was good enough. Like, we could have got him at 20. Like, sure. Who do we pass up that you think is like, why? I can't believe we didn't have that guy. Who was the generational talent? Now, if you think Tyler Warren is a better player, that's fair. We'll find out here over the next couple of years. I'm comfortable with Colston Lovelin. If you were comfortable with Ben Johnson being the coach of the Chicago Bears, you should be comfortable with Colston Lovelin being our tight end and our first overall pick. Now, moving on to our number 2 guy. And I don't know if I've been able to say this on our show. Luther Burton is a stud. Oh, you know what? That's right. I was doing IG lives and TikToks and all that stuff. Luther Burton, if you saw me on the NFL Network a couple of weeks ago doing my mock draft with a twist, I was the only person on the NFL Network who had Luther Burton as a first round person. I had suggested that the Buffalo Bills should take Luther Burton III because he's an absolute stud. And he's somebody who, back in the day, when I was going back to watch tape of Membo, you're like, gosh, dang it. Luther Burton is a great player. This guy is an absolute stud. So I thought, like, I don't know. And I said this on the Marquee Sports Network with Scotty Bear and Carmen Vitale. I said, you know what? I know people will hate this, what I'm about to say, but Luther Burton is a better version of what Ryan Poles thought he was getting with Bayless Jones Jr. I know, and you don't want to invoke those names. Luther Burton was a more prolific college player. That was a great pick. I was sitting there, and I'll be honest with you, it was, we were sitting there, and I go, you know what? I thought like drafting Colston Lovelin was probably going to rule us out of like going wide receiver. But I had said, and thinking back, believing that we were going to get an opportunity, we were going to get a chance to, like, I thought we were getting Mason Graham because I'm an idiot. But I go, if we end up with Mason Graham or even or whatever, or a tackle, like let's say we ended up with Kelvin Banks Jr. in the first round, and you're like, you know what? Luther Burton is a player who I would highly seek if we do get the tackle. We get the tight end, we're probably not going to draft him. We still did it, and I love it. I think we should draft offensive players at great length. No, we need as many weapons as possible. Colston Lovelin, Luther Burton III. Unbelievable combination. Luther Burton III, if you ever watch him play, I was like, I saw it and I'm like, God, that's kind of a Stephon Diggs type player. There are people who think of him as like a more athletic Amon-Ra St. Brown. I've heard Deebo Samuel comparisons, but every player being their own guy. This is just somebody that's going to go out there and be able to do a number of different things. And with Luther Burton, one of the things that I love, and you think back about Deebo Samuel a couple of years ago, Deebo really made his name when he was out there running the football. And if they can find creative ways to get the ball into the hands of Luther Burton, they're going to find it. And if this was a Shane Waldron offense with Matt Eberflus running the show, I'd be very worried about this. But with Ben Johnson, it's my belief that he's going to go out there and get the most out of Luther Burton as much as possible. As much as possible. So I love it. I know people look at this and they're like, oh, where's the offensive line? Like, did you not see what we did in free agency? We signed we signed a center and traded for 2 guards. We did it. We've already addressed it. Well, what do we do in drafting a tight end in the first round? Let me tell you something. The Bears have drafted 3 tight ends in the first round in the entirety of their existence. The third one obviously being Colston Lovelin. You want to know who the other 2 were? Greg Olsen and Mike Ditka. So every time the Bears draft a tight end in the first round, he goes on to the Hall of Fame. It's happened every other time. Why not Colston Lovelin? But I really do believe that these first 2 picks were amazing. Needless to say, I'm going to be looking for a lot of not only Colston Lovelin cards, but Luther Burton III trading cards as well. And by the way, the best place to get trading cards is Windy City Sports Cards. At Windy City Sports Cards, we specialize in all things related to Chicago sports. Whether you are a fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Sky, or Fire, Windy City Sports Cards has you covered with a wide variety of cards and items for every Chicago fan. And in addition to our Chicago-focused items, we have a vast array of other cards and memorabilia from players and teams outside of the world of Chicago. If you want to go get some Cam Ward cards, if you think Cam Ward is better than Jaden Daniels, as I've been told by some Miami Hurricane fans, then maybe you go out there and do that. But Windy City Sports Cards, the best sports card. And, and I look at a couple of these other picks too. So Azie Trapillo, the tackle out of Boston College, played a lot of right tackle, which people are like, what? Like, we're drafting depth right now. Again, you're not drafting. And again, Shamar Turner, these guys, and now we started getting into a run of guys who are like really traitsy. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, they're just going off like RAS score or whatever. Starting going for the traitsy. Now, the thing with Ozzie is the Bears actually had Turner rated higher than him, but they knew the fans were going to burn the place down like Seth Rollins if they didn't come away with a tackle. They ended up with 3 second-round picks. Unbelievable. And Ozzie, oh, man, listen, is there a feeling maybe Darnell Wright goes to the left side? Maybe Ozzie goes to the right? What they are doing is they're putting out a lot of competition. And regardless of what they do, they just need to have some continuity and guys who are going to be there for a long time. And the whole thing too, like if Ozzie becomes a swing tackle, if there's an injury on the offensive line and they need to kick him into guard, like these are the kind of players that we need to have. And Ozzie was one of the higher rated offensive linemen. And so for me, I thought that was a good pick. You want to go out there, you want to get trench drunk, and they do. And they bring in Shamar Turner, who his uncle is Uncle Buck. That's the thing. I was watching the network coverage, and Daniel Jeremiah and who is the other guy? Not Rich Eisen. Charles Davis. They're sitting there making Uncle Buck jokes. Like, tell us about the player. Jesus, that's what I do. That's the thing that drives me crazy. Like, hey, Daniel Jeremiah, like, you're not the funny guy. You know what I'm saying? Just tell me this stuff. I don't want to hear your Uncle Buck jokes. I mean, I don't know. I don't come into your world. I don't go on the path. I'm going to start going on the path of the draft, whatever show he's on. What's his show? Move the Sticks. We got to get DJ on. He didn't have an S to do anymore. Love Turner. Turner's, again, one of those guys. He played hurt all last year. So that's one of the things with Colston Lovelin. Everybody's like, oh, his AC joint's hurt. He might not be around for rookie mini camp, which was true. And you're like, yeah. I've seen that movie for the Bears before. Like, he missed mini camp. It's August. He hasn't played yet. You're like, son of a bee. I've seen this all before. But I'm choosing to be optimistic. I like it. And that's all we did. So then the third round came and went, and like, nothing happening. Just sitting there. Kids are out with me. Like, oh, this is all we got going. But it's true. It is true. I loved it though. I love what they did in the second round. I thought the first 4 picks, solid as they come. If we're grading off the first 4 picks, that's an A. That's an A in my book. Colston Lovelin and Luther Burton III. You're gonna love them. You are going to love them. This is the thing that I didn't get either. By the way, I got to go back and listen to the thing that we did with Seth Rollins, because Seth Rollins was on GMFB the next day, and he was like, yeah, I had to go back and kind of look at Colston Lovelin, and I'm like, did I not bring it up with Seth? Because I'm like, maybe. But it's like, and Seth's a professional wrestler who's a huge fan of the Bears, very knowledgeable, knows what he's talking about. But like other people who are like, yeah, I've never heard of Colston Lovelin. Like, Jesus Christ. He was on the Michigan Wolverines that won the national championship 2 years ago. Like, everybody thought that he was the guy who was going to end up in San Diego with Jim Harbaugh. Like, everybody thought he was going to be a Charger. So it's not like they drafted some guy. It's not like when they drafted Adam Shaheen. Like, yeah, nobody knew who that guy was. Oh, and Daniel Jeremiah didn't have Uncle Buck jokes then. Oh, he's trying to sell us on how great he is. And I'm like, what about George Kittle? But Adam Shaheen. Colston Lovelin is the George Kittle in this instance. Some of these other guys. Then when we get to the fourth, this is where we start to get a little cray cray. Cray cray, is that the right? Oh, I don't think it's crazy. Okay, Ruben Hypolite, who was drafted out of Maryland. Again, when these picks happen, they're like, you can tell. They got tape of them. They're ready to roll the tape. They're showing the highlights of Ruben Hypolite, a guy who was very highly regarded coming out of college, or out of high school, goes to Maryland. You're like, well, there's already one. There's one ding on you. Like, really? You didn't want to play for a real school? Like, no disrespect to the Terrapins. I know Sean Merriman likes to come on this show. All right. He's fast. He's a fast player who's got all the skills. If you're sitting there in create a player mode on Madden, speed 99. Okay, there it is. Ruben Hypolite. Is it going to translate to this level? I don't know. I mean, whenever I see a player like this who doesn't do well, it wasn't like he was killing, like, you didn't know, nobody knows who he is. This is fine. If you don't know Ruben Hypolite, I don't mind this one. Colston Lovelin, you should have known. Luther Burton III, you should know. Azie, probably not. Shamar Turner, my friend is an A&M fan, so I'm familiar with him. He's a good player, but he was hurt. But anyways, Ruben, okay, he's fast. He is who you would create if you were playing this on Madden. Zoff Frazier, cornerback from UTSA. Looks good. Love the highlight reel. Don't really know a lot about him, but they're in the creative player mode. He's from my understanding, from my limited work, ball hawk. He's good. Luke Newman, Michigan State, absolute dog. I actually really like this. I know. I always fall in love with these 6-round picks. Luke Newman is an absolute dog. He played at Michigan State. Pretty good player. I don't expect him to come in to start. But again, if at some point, we get a guy, we have an opportunity for him to get onto the field at some point during the preseason, he's going to go out there and make some plays. You're going to be like, yeah, this guy can play. We need depth at this point. Like, yeah, bring in another guard. I'm good. Here's the guy that we need to spend the rest of the show talking about. And it's my guy, Kyle Monangai. Kyle Monangai is an absolute beast. So I tweeted out on Saturday night that I was going to recuse myself for a little bit to go out there and run some game film. And I don't watch I just was watching games of Rutgers, and like, holy Lord, this guy is pretty amazing. And I started watching some of the specials from the Big Ten Network and something that Rutgers put out. And there was this quote by his mom. And his mom goes out there and she's like, Kyle, why do you always run the ball into a pile of people? And he goes, Mom, because when you do that, it breaks their will. And by the end of the game, they don't want to tackle you. And his mom's reaction, no lie, is like, Jesus Christ. So I love her already. This is the kind of attitude that we want. A bowling ball who will go out there and try to exert his will. Now, if you ever listened to the Tape Never Lies Network and our friend Draft Dr. Phil, he always talks about establishing your identity. And this is the kind of player that establishes an identity, that helps to establish a culture in what you want Bears football to be. When you think about Ben Johnson, you think about the high-flying offense, you think of the 70 touchdowns, you think of the tackles, throwing passes, and all that stuff. But they also get busy running the football. There is a reason why David Montgomery went to that team and absolutely took off. Him, guys like Jamal Williams, they played so well playing with Ben Johnson because he establishes an identity, and that's exactly what Kyle Monangai is going to do for the Chicago Bears. He is not your typical 7th-round pick. He's just not. And he is a good player who's going to come in here and be highly productive for the Bears. And I know a lot of you might be asking, hey, well then, why? It's the funniest thing on Twitter too, where people are like, this is the total like, okay, I'll draft a running back already pick. This guy is a legitimate pick. And I truly believe the Bears felt at some point, they missed out on Ashton Jeanty. We all know by now they are trying to trade up for Ashton Jeanty. It's not as easy. And listen, if you're asking me if I can have Luther Burton and Azie and Turner as opposed to Ashton Jeanty, I'm like, I'm curious to see how that works out. If Ashton Jeanty becomes the next LaDainian Tomlinson, we might regret that. But I am still confident enough in Luther Burton and the other two guys, Azie and Turner, that we're going to end up being much better off. We've established, we've got more players. You don't want to be top heavy with stars. You want like a nice lineup. So for me, I think it was the right way to go. And I know that it was a long time waiting. And we were I was actually doing an Instagram live when Kyle Monangai was drafted. And everybody was just like, hey, we finally did it. But like, and I'll be honest with you, I did not watch a lot of Rutgers. I didn't watch any Rutgers football during the course of last season. But over the last 36 hours of going back and watching a lot of this, and you did get a chance, I was trying to find something. I'm not going to sit here and try to bull S you. Okay. I'm not going to do that. I'm not that person. I know that I'm not the highly optimistic guy. Of course, Rank's going to listen, I'm telling you, Hypolite, I don't know. Zoff Frazier, I don't know. Luke Newman, I hope so. He seems like I like him. I liked him as a player at Michigan State. Kyle Monangai is going to be F, dude. I'm going to go out there and draft him on my fantasy team. I'm going to do all that stuff. I'm going to be that person. I'm going to draft him in Dynasty, all that stuff. I think we might have found somebody with Kyle Monangai. I really do. As much as I love. So the first 4 picks, 100% all in. All in on all 4 of those guys. The next 3, The next two, like, I don't know, guys. I don't know. You're going to have to show me something. I'm sorry. Newman, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt because I liked your work at Michigan State. I think it's a mistake that you fell so far. Monangai, I'm ready. I'm ready to go off for Monangai. I'm ready for this. I am so excited to see what Kyle Monangai could do. Remember earlier this year, who was the guy? Who was the goddamn? What's the kid's name from? Who's the Chargers running back that they had? Oh, Kamani Vidal. Remember how big I was into Kamani Vidal? It's gonna be worse for Kyle Monangai. Like we're gonna do a fantasy show, and they're like, "Who's your guy?" Of course, Rank's picking Kyle Monangai. Goddamn right, I'm picking him. It's exactly who I'm picking. I can't wait for it. So it's pretty good. So that's my initial blush review of the draft. I'm going to take a little bit more time. We'll be back Wednesday night for another edition of Take It to the Rank. We'll have our friend Greg Braggs here, and we'll try to get Scott Bear to come on with us as well. Hopefully he's going to be available and have those two guys go on and have a great show. So I want to appreciate everybody here joining us for this very special edition of the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank. We'll see you Wednesday night. Until that time, bear down, and Sammy, go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.